knows what is happening. That has created a new normal for all of us. But for small business owners in particular, like Mr. Danso said, we've seen and observed that demands are decreasing. People are not buying as they used to. Markets have closed, there is lockdown, countries have closed their borders. This definitely affects small business owners who are the engines of growth in most developing economies. So my focus today will be on financial management. We will briefly talk about the concept of financial management, what are some of the tools, and then we'll move in detail to the crisis management in particular. When we know that financial management is generally about applying the principle of management in terms of organizing, controlling, recording to our financial resources with the objective of maximizing our returns, like profits, and at the same time maintaining liquidity, because these two are very important for any business. You maximize your profit, and at the same time, you want to ensure you have enough cash to operate or continue with that business. What are some of the tools available for us as business owners? But before we talk about, let's talk about the benefits of financial management briefly. I mean, we know financial management can help us to assess our profit, help us to forecast our growth, assess any opportunity. In some countries, including Gambia, some financial management tools are actually legal requirements like record keeping. And more importantly, if we need to raise finance, we can also use financial management tools to raise money either from banks or in a form of equity. Number of tools are available to us as business owners if we want to manage our finance properly. Bookkeeping, first thing is record keeping. You can't do a proper financial management without having a proper record of your business transactions, including your expenses, your incomes, your assets and liabilities. It's also a good practice to have a budget in terms of financial management. And that's why you see all the way from corporate institutions, the government, they always have a budget because it's a plan to know where are your incomes coming from, how are you going to spend it, what are your major assets, do you need to borrow more money? And that will take us to cash flow forecast, which talks about receipts and payment. If you go to any business or any bank, you ask for a loan, they will tell you, I want to know where is the cash coming from and what are the outflows for them to be so that you are able to pay them. Another critical thing in financial management is performance assessment. As part of managing our finance, we produce some reports like income statements, balance sheet. We even go a little bit deeper to calculate some ratios, which try to show some relationships like profitability, liquidity, how efficient we are managing this business. These are some of the tools that are very important when we are discussing about financial management. And during this crisis, we'll definitely see we will apply them in different ways. So what are some of the steps or key things we need to do during crisis as far as financial management is concerned? The first thing is we have to assess the situation. We will discuss each of these in details, but the first thing, you assess your current situation, because you cannot do any plan, you cannot manage any crisis if you don't know how deep that crisis is. So the first thing, we have to assess our situation as business owners. We then prepare a response plan. From that response plan, we can engage, because anytime you assess your finance, you have people to engage, whether they are your customers, your suppliers, your bankers, your employees, but you have to engage those stakeholders. From there, you can reassess. It's a continuous process. Whatever thing we will discuss this afternoon is not something you just prepare and pack it. You have to continuously do it time to time as the environment changes, as opportunities also changes as well. Let's go a little bit and discuss about the area of assessment. What are the things we need to assess? First and foremost, you have to assess your current cash position. Cash, they say, is the most liquid asset, is the lifeblood of any business. So you have to first know how much cash do you have available in your business as of now. Then also assess any outstanding receivables and their agents, those who are owing you. How long are they owing you? Are you exposed to somebody? If that person has a problem in his or her business, are you going to be affected? So you need to assess to know that situations. If 80% of your receivable is being owed from somebody else, that's a serious amount of money that you can lose your business because one person has gone bad, what we call concentration risk. You also need to assess your payables with a due date. Who are the companies or people you are owing? It is important you assess that because they will demand their payment when the agreed time comes. You have to check some ratios in the sense that working capital, what is the ratio of your short-term assets compared to your short-term liabilities? Do you, in the next 1 year or in the next 3 months or 1 month, I prefer in this crisis is to do it in a 1 month. In the next 1 month, how many people or companies or how much are you owing them? And how much cash and receivables do you have to pay those people? Because if you are owing $1,000 in the next 1 month and you have cash of $10,000, you are okay. But when you have liabilities to pay in the next 1 month of $15,000 and you only have $2,000 in your bank account, that means you are having a crisis coming up, which you have to plan. How do you close that gap? Again, because we are talking about the crisis, you have to also assess the potential impact of the crisis on your business, either in the form of sales, like we say, demands are going down, your sales may also go down. Of course, some industries probably will gain some increase in sales. We've seen that the supermarkets are making a lot of sales because of the demand on food, sort of crisis, shortage of food supplies in some environment. But some industries, like let's say entertainment, tourism, those ones are losing. So they will see decrease in demand for hotels, decrease in demand of maybe even some restaurants as well. After assessing all these top 5 discussed above, you can prepare a cash flow forecast using a scenario. When we say a scenario, we are talking about, for instance, this sample, you can say, if my cost increases by 10%, what impact does that have on my cash flow and my profit? Or if I am short of stocks because you can't import things or there are difficulties of importing things, let's say from China or any other country that is locked, so things are slow for you to receive your goods, what impact would that have on my business in terms of profit and cash flow? Look at it from the other way around too. If your sales reduce by 15% or 20%, for instance, what impact would that have on your business? This is what I'm talking about as scenario analysis. Or if a major customer goes bankrupt, what impact would that have on my profit and cash flows? If you build a scenario like this, you may come up with a cash flow forecast, like the example showing here. This is a sample cash flow forecast. It's a weekly cash flow forecast. In the crisis time, I think monthly cash flow forecast will not be very helpful. At least you should be able to see for at least a week. In this example, what I have displayed here, this company started with 105,000 at the beginning of the week 1. But if you look at it, by the end of the month, they are closing with $58,000, which is approximately 55% of their cash has gone out in the first 1 month. And if you look at it deep, apart from week 3, all the other weeks, they are having a negative net cash flow for that week. What I mean that is that if you look at the receipts and the payment for that week alone, they are losing money. They are burning, cash going out compared to cash is coming in. So this business is foreseeing a crisis. The business we are seeing as an example here. If 55% of your existing cash flows is going out, it means in the next 1 month, they will finish this money. By the second month, there will be no money there. Or third month, there will be no money left in this company. So they have to strategize how do they increase the flow of cash in their business. Now we've given you some areas that you need to assess. I mean, it will still differ from business to business, but the concept is generally the same. What are some of the response strategies you can adopt? So let's discuss some of those strategies. But before we discuss them, you have to understand that the key element that created cash flows in your business are expenses and assets. You have revenues and liabilities. It is easy for you to control expenses and assets because you can decide that you will not spend. You can decide that you will not buy a new asset. But revenues and liabilities are things you can't control. You can only influence them. You can influence customers to come and buy from you, either by increasing qualities or by doing promotions. You can negotiate with those you are owing, as in liabilities you are owing, to defer payments, but you can't stop them from asking for their money. So you have to know those two factors you must consider as you prepare your plan of how you are going to respond to crisis. The first one I want to discuss about is revenues and receivables. We know revenues and receivables bring in cash into your business in most cases. So during crisis, your first plan may be to go for more cash sales. You want to encourage selling your goods and services on cash basis. Let clients pay cash. If you are to sell on credit, you should encourage to have a very good credit process. When I mean very good credit process, in the sense that not everybody should approve who should you give sales on credit. You probably, as the CEO of that small business, for now, may centralize the approval process at your own level. For every credit sales, you must approve. And you will definitely decide, because you know there is an economic crisis around the world. You may sell to somebody, the next day he or she can't pay you. If you are against selling on credit, try to issue invoices immediately so that you can follow up on the payment. Improve your collections. People who are owing you, be constantly close to them. Improve on those collections. You may offer them discount. If I sell 100,000 dollars to you for, let's say, 20 bags of cement, and I need those cars, I can ask you to pay early, and I will give you discount. Maybe I will tell you, you know what, you can take 5% off if you pay me within the next 1 week. These are things you need your cash to come early enough so that you can manage your own position to pay your own suppliers. If customers are making orders from you, you may ask them to deposit money in advance because you are in a crisis. Maybe we are doing quality now. Somebody said, you know what, I want you to maybe sew 5 clothes for my family. You can say, you know what, deposit 50% at the beginning. Or somebody said, come on, build a furniture for me. You can say, deposit some amount at the beginning. Because during the normal time, for competitive reasons, you can tell the client, you don't have a deposit, just give me a purchase order and I will go ahead and produce that good for you or that service for you. But times like this, it's good to have some deposit so that if the client is unable to pay you because he or she is experiencing crisis, you are not losing everything. You can also explore government support. I am not sure of any direct support from the Gambia point of view, but I'm sure if we ask either through the startup incubators or the Ministry of Finance or similar institutions, there may be some support in the government that you can enjoy. So don't sit and assume there is no support. Make an inquiry. There may be a support from the government to help businesses during this crisis. In terms of your inventories and payables, you should try to ensure you maintain a minimum or optimal level. Don't buy too much of stocks and keep it, because you don't know what is happening. If you buy a lot of stocks and there isn't much demand, you may have a lot of stocks tied in your storage. Also ask for discount from your own vendors. You know, this is a vendor you often buy from them. It's one of your regular vendors. Now you are in crisis. Tell them you are looking for a discount so that you can manage your own profitability as well as your own liquidity. Ask for a better payment terms. Maybe your vendor used to sell to you for cash payment. You can negotiate to say, I am going to continue buying from you, but I want you to give me payment credit period of 30 days, 15 days, whatever they can take. But it's important you ask for these things. They help in terms of managing your finances during difficult times. Talk to vendors to extend their payment well before due date. If you are owing somebody right now and you are supposed to pay them by end of the month, do not wait until the due date to tell them you will not be able to pay. Ask them that after looking at your own cash flow projections, you may not be able to pay them. Can they extend that payment date for 2 weeks or 1 month? In that way, it won't affect their own cash flow positions. Again, you can also check for alternative supplies. For some people, your suppliers may go out of business, they may close. And for your business to continue, you may need suppliers as well. So this is the time, if you are dealing with goods, you need to look for backup suppliers in case your own supplier is out of business. Review your contracts for any force majeure. I mean, in some instance, maybe you are exporting and they have closed ports. Maybe you have a contract term which include a force majeure. In other words, if certain conditions happen which are beyond your control, you won't be able to carry your own duty in that contract. So you can review all your contracts, both the payable purchase contract and sales contracts as well. let's look at borrowings. I mean, sometimes we small business owners, we also borrow money from the banks. But I can tell you, this is the time it will be tough. Bankers will be following up with you, but don't hide from bankers. They can offer valuable advice. Talk to them well before you default. You can ask them to structure your loan facility for you. Many countries are doing it. You go to the bank and say, okay, because of the crisis, I won't be able to pay you that fixed monthly amount we agreed. Why not you, instead of the loan to be paid in 1 year, let's make it 18 months, let's make it 2 years. Talk to them. If you also have some special contract, let's assume government give you a contract, you can take that contract and go to the bank and say, you know what, I want to explore the possibility of you financing this for me. I don't have cash. You give me the money, I will do the work and give it to government, then government will pay me directly into my account with you. So you are trying to finance that order through the bank. You don't just say, okay, I don't have any cash, I won't take this order. Those are mechanisms you can also explore during the crisis time. Assets like fixed assets is important. You defer the non-critical asset purchases. If you have an asset, you know it's not very critical, this is not the time you should buy a brand new car for your business. This is not that time at all. You should consider leasing or rental. If you need an asset and it's important for you, check in the market if you'll be able to lease it, because what leasing allows you to do is that you wouldn't necessarily have to pay the whole amount at the beginning. Somebody gives you an asset and say, use it and you pay me a fixed amount over a period of time. If you want to buy a new laptop, talk to an IT company and say, you know what, I can't pay you a new laptop now, but I can pay the laptop over a period of time, or they rent it to you. You should again negotiate better terms if in case you need to buy that particular asset. It is also an opportunity to co-share asset. We are small business owners. We can't afford everything. Assuming you definitely need a new photocopier in your office, and in that office, there are 2 or 3 small business owners with you there. You may co-share, you may put money together, pull the money together and buy that new photocopier so that all of you can use it at the same time. Instead of you alone buying that asset, which will be expensive, it will be a major cost outlay for your own company. If you have some assets you are not using at the moment, you may consider selling them to generate enough cash flows. Because again, if you are short of cash, there is no business. But if you have an asset that is there and you are not using it, you may consider selling it. This is the crisis time we are talking about. It's not normal time we are discussing here. You have an iPhone 11 with you and your business can work with maybe a Samsung S10. Why not you sell that iPhone 11? Buy iPhone Samsung S10 and then use the excess money back into the business, because you want that business to survive. That is your own baby. Expense management also is critical during this time. And the first thing I always tell business owners is that you have to separate the nice to have from the need to have. Nice to have are basically the things you feel like, okay, it's good to have them in my company. Maybe it's good to have a very nice art wall behind my office as the CEO, but it's not a need for you to have it. It's good to have a new car as a CEO, but it's not a need for you to have it. So you need to separate your nice to have from your need to have. To pay your employees' salaries is a need to have if you want to continue as a business. You may consider working from home during crisis. Probably if your business affords it. So those who are in the service business, most of the time, it's easy to pack your things and go home and work from there. Don't pay rent anymore. Or move to incubators, like we have startup incubators. You can move to their centers. They will also be reasonably far more cheaper than you having your full-fledged company rent on your own. Close some shops that are creating negative cash flow. You may have shops around the country, but at this time, some of them may create negative cash flow. You may temporarily close them, and at least that will save you some money in terms of utilities. It may save you some money in terms of transport you are paying to go to all those shops. As long as they are creating negative cash flow, the cash that shop brings in and the cash that shop take out, if it's negative, you may have to close it. Leverage on technology, such as e-commerce. I was talking to a small business owner last week. She was telling me she made more sales online, even with the clothes, because she's in the clothing. So you may think of leveraging on e-commerce. You can use Instagram. You can use an Instagram, or you can even thinking of using Facebook, any other platform that will help you. This is another time you may incentivize your sales team with commissions, because you want to create more cars All these things require calculated sort of calculations. You can tell your sales team, you know what, because you want to create more cash for this business, everybody in the company, I will give all of you a target. If you meet those targets, you will pay the commissions. Cut your personal expenses. As a small business owner, most of us sometimes tend to have a lot of personal expenses we bring into our business. This is the time you cut them. Park that car if it's not necessary. You can carpool with someone else. You can eat at home. Start joining normal taxis instead of taking a town trip on your own. All these things will save you money. Imagine if you are paying $200 for a town trip, to and fro. By the time you do the to and fro in a day, that's $400. Multiply $400 by 20 business working days. We're talking about almost $800 you can save in a month. It is those things we do daily. They look small, but over time, they can be a lot. Negotiate price with your service providers. Maybe you have a consultant who is working for you, is providing IT services for you. This is a time you tell them, you know what, we have to negotiate prices or else I won't be able to afford your service. They also will definitely think somewhere for both of you to survive at the same time. Ask your landlord to defer payments or pay monthly. Most of the time when landlords know you are doing business, they want you to pay 6 months or 1 year. This is a time you can ask them, things are difficult, Mr. Landlord or Miss Landlord, why not we defer my this payment till another 3 months time, another 6 months time, or why not I pay you on monthly basis? You should stop hiring, or if you want to hire people with multiple skills. Hire someone in IT who can do IT, probably who can do some sales for you, or someone who can do sales, can do some let's say business plan preparation for you, can do some basic finance for you. Look at that multi-skills work set. It helps to save cost. Barter also may work in some instances. Let's take an example of a lawyer and an IT service. If you are an IT company, you want to file your account for 2019, you don't have enough cash. At the same time, a legal firm may need some IT services. You can say, you know what, I will give you my IT services whilst you help me to file my account as a lawyer. This is what I'm calling a barter services. In the crisis, people do all these things because they don't have cash. Consider right sizing. Right sizing, I mean, is previously called downsizing. So maybe this is the time to check, do you have a lot of staff in your company that you don't necessarily need at this point in time? It is tough. It is not the best option. It's not the option we prefer. But in some instances, you have to take some positions out. We've seen it happen even in the big companies. You may have the right size. You may also outsource some of your functions. Let's assume that you've been using a delivery, let's say motorbike to deliver some of the goods to your clients. But now that sales are not coming as it used to be, you may consider outsourcing that delivery to a facility or logistic company to do it for you, a courier company. Since you know probably your delivery boy used to go out 2 times every day or 3 times every day, and now he's only going out once in a week or 2 times in a week. So you may take that function out, save yourself on the logistic issues, and outsource to a logistic company. You may review your benefits too. Some companies are considering that. They will agree with the staff to say, instead of us asking you to go home and sit, why not we cut some amount from your salary for the company to survive, or let's change your pay structure. But again, these are some things you have to consider. It depends on country to country and the legal considerations too. You can change the pay structure to say, you know what, if you're earning $10,000 salary every month as my employee, I'll give you $5,000 in cash for now. The other $5,000, we will divide it until the business comes back to normal, or the other $5,000 is going to be a commission base. So, but these are things you have to discuss. There are plans I'm just proposing for you. You have to consider which ones may work for your company. There are some other important strategic issues which are essential that you don't abandon them. When things are tough, we may tend to ignore some clients because they are not making sales. But remember, there was life before COVID-19 or the crisis, and there will be life after this crisis. So you should be close to your customers, call on them regularly to check, even though they are not buying from you, as long as they used to be previously active customers. Call on them, check on them, what are they doing? And if they need your support, just to feel your presence, that you are with them in the good time and in the bad time. You should also be considerate to your employees and support them. It is important at this stage, maybe you can get things like the personal protective equipment, maybe like the masks, tell them to work from home remotely, at least to support them. Today, as I'm talking to you, I'm calling from my house. I've not been working for the past almost 2 months because my employer is considerate with me. And I will advise any other small business owner to be considerate with their employees too during this moment, or else as soon as the lock up is finished, the business is back to normal, some of them will resign because they know you are a different person during the crisis. Also observe the environment for any new opportunities. For every crisis, when you look at it deep, there is always some form of opportunities. Maybe you are a tailor. I mean, let's say you are a fashion designer. Let me put it that way. That's the modern time. You are in fashion design, and you see there's an opportunity that you can produce masks and sell it out. That could be something you can consider as a way to pivot your business models. Or look for opportunities. You are into school. You provide lecturing to students. This may be the time to do online lectures. I was reading yesterday that Cambridge University is saying that all their classes, physical classes, are stopped till 2021. So they have sort of redefined their business model a bit to say, instead of delivering lectures in a face-to-face classroom, we are moving to an online. And I believe every business has that form of opportunities, how you can serve your clients by pivoting your business model a bit during this crisis period. Also need to assess your strength, your weakness, any opportunities, and any threat in your environment. Some businesses may not easily come back now. I mean, I was talking to someone and say, imagine if you're in the entertainment business, let's assume that you have a club. It will take tough time before people can meet, even after they open the economies. They may be one of those last institutions that will be allowed to open because they deal with the crowd. So you need to assess your business from a strategic point of view. What are the strengths you have during this crisis? Maybe you have enough cash. Probably your strength, maybe you have a very good social media followers, so you can still sell to those people. Maybe your strength, maybe you have contracts which are already signed for the next 6 months. For the next 1 year, government has signed contracts with you to provide them services. So that could be a strength. But you may have weakness. Maybe you don't have enough cash, or maybe you don't have stocks available. So that could also be your weakness. Opportunities may come as discussed previously, but you may have threats. Other companies may come into your industry as big players, and they may take some of your clients from you. You may have threat the fact that because you don't have cash, your company may close down. So you need to assess those things at the strategic levels whilst you are in the crisis. Again, build visibility. This is the time, like I said earlier on, to use social media, and even your promotions, your adverts should be something that relates to this current crisis. I saw an advert coming from Dettol, one of these companies that produce soaps. They use their adverts to talk about how you should wash your hand. But whilst they are trying to encourage us to wash our hand, they're also using the opportunity to change their promotion. Some people will tell you, whilst you are at home, we are with you. We are still with you. So your advertisements, your media visibility should all be sort of linked to the crisis itself. The next stage is remember we spoke about, you have to assess your current situations and you come out with response plans. After you come out with that response plans, you must engage the relevant stakeholders. So every business will have different stakeholders, but generally we will have to first identify who are our stakeholders. If you are owing money, you borrow money from the bank becomes your stakeholder. Talk to them that this is your own situations and these are your own plans. They may even advise you some areas. Any other lender, talk to them in advance so that they can know. Talk to employees. Don't just wake up and tell the employees, you know what, I have to lay off you guys. You are a leader. You have to engage them. You have to communicate. You have to tell them the vision you are trying to take. Don't just cut their salary. You need to engage them. Again, there could be legal implications, but if you engage them, they may consider your viewpoint and easily give you way out of what you want. Vendors too, you're owing somebody, you've come with a plan that you think will help your business, open to them, engage them. Talk to landlord. He or she knows that you have been there for past 2-3 years, you have been paying. Now there's crisis, knock on his or her door and say, I won't be able to pay you for the next 6 months because of the crisis and I want to continue staying there. They may support you. The same thing to your customers. As you are prepared to talk to them, first assess what could be the impact of your plan on them and what may be their reaction and concern. You go to a bank and say, you know what, I won't be able to pay your loan for the next 6 months. The bank would definitely say, oh, I can't accept that. What is your plan? So you have to tell them, no, I have a plan. I have the following contract, which I believe will generate enough cash for me in the next 6 months. Then I'll start paying you. I want a holiday. So in that way, when you engage them, you are prepared. You won't just go to the bank and say, oh, things are very tough. I won't be able to pay you. Go with a plan. That's what bankers always want. And I believe every other stakeholder, that's what they want. Engage them, communicate with them. Don't just leave anybody out. It's very important. If you are owing a taxman and there is no tax holiday for you, go to the taxman and engage them. They are always very open to listen to you. After you have done the assessment, as well as your response plan, and you've come out with an engagement plan, which you've engaged all the stakeholders, you have to continue reassessing that situation because the environment keeps on changing. You have to continue reassessing it. Don't just park it and say, I am done. No, the plans you have devised earlier, you have to see, are they working for you? Those plans, are they working for you? You have to assess, do you still have cash? Maybe on a monthly basis, you even look at your plan on a monthly basis or every 3 months, depends on how your business environment changes. You have to reassess that situation. Check your assumptions. Maybe before you are thinking that, oh, my sales may decrease by 10%. And by end of the month, your sales actually decrease by 20%. That means your scenario you built earlier has changed totally. You may have to revise a new response plan. Or you may think sales will increase by 10% and they didn't even increase. So it's important you to assess your situations time to time as you go on. Because we have to be, what are we saying? We are saying that in the crisis, you have to assess situations and prepare a response plan. Don't just be thinking that you have enough money so you don't have to prepare a response plan. No, things can change. Prepare a response plan to that crisis, engage all the stakeholders that will be affected by your response plan, and reassess your situation as times keeps on going. You have very important tools that can help you to do these things. Keep a proper record of your transactions. Have a budget in place. Prepare a cash flow projection. Cash flow projection is the most critical thing in any crisis, because in crisis, you want survival first, even before profitability. Even if you are going to sell your goods at 1% margin, 2% margin, instead of the 10% or 30% you used to enjoy before. The most important thing is for you to survive that crisis. Assess your performances. Your profit and loss account, you should continue to assess it. Your balance sheet, you should be able to look at, do you have more assets than liabilities? Do you have more current assets than current liabilities? You should continue to look at it because these are things that bring out crisis at first place. At the end, remember that if there is no cash in any business, there will be no business at all. No business can operate without enough cash. And that's why when governments are responding to crisis, they inject more cash to the economy. They don't tell you we are going to give you more money to make profit. They inject more cash to the economy because there is no cash and for that to be any business. I want to leave you with this African quote today. They said every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows that it must outrun the fastest lion or it will be killed. The same time, every morning in Africa, a lion wakes up. It knows that it must run faster than the slowest gazelle or it will starve. It does not matter whether you are a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you would better be running. Thank you very much. Mr. Danso, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sawanneh. That was really very insightful. And I am of the belief that all the guests, as the participants in the platform here, have definitely learned a lot because I personally did. I think we will definitely love to have some question and answer sessions, but it looks like where time is almost up. But what we can do is you can share your questions on our Facebook page, and I will try by all means to share it with Mr. Sawanneh, and he will be able to respond to most of your questions, possibly, if that is possible, Mr. Sawanneh. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's possible. Yes, I can hear you. That's possible. But I think I just saw an alert. It looks like somebody have upgraded our time.
Okay.
They've taken to premium version.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
we
just an alert. So maybe some one of your colleagues have, so we can do question and answers.
okay. So if you have we have some couple of minutes again. So if you have questions, please. I'm unmuting your mic. So if you have questions, you can just unmute your mic on your own, and then you can ask your questions, and Mr. Sawanneh will respond.
Okay, for my question is, if we are a business owner, and now this crisis is going on, and maybe your stocks are coming from outside the country, and now there's a lockdown in that particular country, and it's now a very difficult time for you to get your stocks. And you already sent some of your money for that particular supplier to send the particular product to you, but before your money land to that particular person, the country turned down to lockdown. So if the business is in that position, what will be the best advice for that particular business?
All right, thank you very much. I believe there are a number of options available, although you have a very difficult and challenging situation since the fact that they have locked down all the countries. I know a number of countries, they have not locked their ports because they still need things to move in and out, like food. Most of us, one of the things you can do is to talk to that supplier. I believe if he's a very good supplier and who is very strong, let me put it that way, very strong supplier, so possibly return your money back if he or she has not shipped the goods yet. So they can return your money back. And another option is to talk to your local port authorities or government. What are the plans? Just for you to know. Maybe there's a plan between government of Gambia and China government to say, you know what, let the goods be flowing on a selected basis. But beyond that, it is very difficult for you to get your goods or money because this is a global pandemic. I mean, when is the last time we have such situations? I believe some records are saying it was 1918 when we had something like this. So more or less, I believe quite a number of us, we are not born, including the president, so we don't have any experience how to handle it than to lock the countries. At the end of the day, if you're owing banks from that money, you need to talk to them, advise them that you have these situations, and they will know definitely it was not something you planned or the supplier has planned it. And for now, I mean, these are little options I can advise on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope your question has been answered. Do we have any question?
What are some of the things that one should consider if you are preparing cash flow statement, especially?
Okay, we can't hear somebody's talking, but we can't hear the person very well.
Can you speak a little bit louder, Fatih?
And what are some of the things one should consider in preparing your cash flow analysis or statement, especially during this crisis for a country that has limited data?
Yes. So when you are preparing your cash flow statement, there are a number of inputs into it. One of them is your sales and your purchases, as well as your receivables and your payables. In terms of your sales, the country may not have a lot of data, but if you have been in business for a while now, you may have an idea of your historical sales. So you can take a sort of a discount on that, assuming that for the past 2 years you have been in business and you've been keeping a record. That's why I always emphasize that it is important you keep a record of your business, because you can now say for the past 2 years, on average, let's assume you are selling bread. On average, I normally sell 1,000 loaves of bread every month. So you have an idea about that. And that's why you now build a scenario to say, okay, assuming that because of this crisis, my projection will go down. I'm going to sell only 900, or I will sell only 600. So you can use your own record from the past activities. For the ones who are owing you, you can't forecast much about how they will pay you apart from your knowledge of their situation. And that's why you may have to call your customers to indicate or ask them, wow, so there's crisis happening. What impact will it have on your own business? Hope you'll be able to pay me as we agreed in, let's say, in June. So if that customer gives you assurance, you take their word for it. But if they come up and say, I don't think I'll be able to pay you in June, then that cash flow should not come into your cash flow statement for you to know your true projection of your positions. The similar things for your purchases as well. You have an idea about stock, you know where you buy your stocks from. If you are buying from somebody in Banjul, you may have to call on them. That stocks that I buy from, that cement, do you still have enough stocks? Now against September, do you think you still have enough supplies? In that situation, if they give you a forecast from their point of view that they have enough stocks available, don't worry. Then you are assured that you are going to have enough stocks available. But if they say they don't have enough, there you know you will be short of stocks in 2 months' time or 3 months' time.
Thank you very much. Do we have another question?
Yeah, hello. This is Ebrima Sawanneh. I just want to do a contribution. Good day to all of you, Mansa and the co-host. Mine is just a contribution from a banker's perspective concerning the issues of the clients coming to banks for a possible restructure or a possible deferment of some of their existing facilities. For us at GT Bank, just my own contribution, we've been doing that, especially to our mortgage clients, because we have mortgage customers who are currently domiciled abroad, and most of them follow based on with their salaries that they are currently receiving. They are not getting the required income like they used to in those days when business was as usual, everything was normal. We are currently having a program of interest and principal suspension for about 3 months. Some facilities have even been restructured with favorable terms to ensure that the clients are able to at least weather the storm during this period of COVID-19 and economic downtime, because the sales numbers are drastically down. You know, the sales is down, revenue of course also will be down. And but we've not also been seeing a lot of clients also coming forward, although we've been engaging some of our clients, but most of the clients have not been coming forward. So I think also that also has to do with our environment. Our business environment is not so, you know, pragmatic or dynamic in such a way that there is continuous dialogue between the borrowers and the bankers. You know, some will sit and until they get into default, that is the time they will come to banks, you know, to also, you know, bring their situation forward. But most of them have not been forthcoming. But especially for us, especially people in the diaspora that are our mortgage clients, because we run mortgage loans for about 10 years repayment period. So those ones are forthcoming to tell us their issues, and we are open up for restructures. So this is my contribution anyway. And small businesses in the country are also not doing tremendously well with regards to their bookkeeping and their accounting systems as well. So I think a lot needs to be done with regards to sensitization of small businesses in this country, definitely. There are a lot of potential for small businesses. This is my own contribution, Mansa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akela. That's wonderful. Like he said, and we spoke about earlier, record keeping is very critical. Anybody who want to come into a business, to lend you money, to even buy shares, to support you, want to know whether you are keeping record. When you have proper record, you can even get people to advise you properly because of data. If I'm able to get your sales for the past 3 years, 4 years record, I'm able to get your purchases. You can even do some very good predictive analysis. You just need data to be in place. And like he said, don't assume, go to the banks, discuss with them. If you have any loans that you are owing the banks, knock on their door. Almost all the banks are ready because they don't want to see your business going out of business. Without your business, bankers also have no business. So anyone you are owing money, please talk to them, whether it's your bankers, whether it's your suppliers, or any other party. Talk to them, and you'll be surprised that some of them will open doors for you to negotiate and change the terms of that transaction.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will take one more question, and that will be it for the day. I think we are left with just 5 minutes to wrap up. Do we have any more questions?
Hello.
Yes, hello, Patrick.
Yeah, this is Patrick. Yeah, I was a bit late because I logged in earlier, but you guys were not online because of our time difference.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Sorry.
I just wanted to ask the advice you have for the wholesalers with regards to their logistics on how to help the small business, especially those in remote villages or towns. What do you think you can advise them with this during this pandemic? Because of these, because of probably the social distancing and the fear of going to town, probably you may catch. I know it is not rampant in the Gambia compared to here in China. So what advice do you have for them?
All right, thank you very much, Patrick. Yeah, so it depends on, let's assume if you are looking at from the point of view of the Gambia, I know I'm calling from Nigeria. In Nigeria, they have identified some services which are very critical. If you are a wholesaler of food, government allows you to move freely because you are going to deliver food at the remote area. But if you are selling other stuff, let's say you are selling shoes, clothing, they are not defined as critical services. So government may not even allow you to go. So in that situation, you'll be having challenges because almost all the states in Nigeria have locked state by state. And I believe in Gambia, you may have similar situations too. But let's assume that you are saying a critical services, you definitely have to talk to government. Try to first of all get the permit or the license if there is one, which will allow you to move your good. And like I said earlier, be considerate with your employees. Help them with those protective equipment like masks or thermometers to be testing themselves before you engage them. I've seen companies working currently, and they have tested their staff for the COVID-19, and all the staff they know they have no problem. They put them on one place for them to continue with their project. Offsite, somewhere in the remote area, it's a construction company because what they are building was a very critical thing. But in terms of logistics, you need to engage the relevant parties in government if there is a restriction in your jurisdiction or your area. And you may have to support your retailers as well. Maybe that is, if you yourself is strong enough, you may have to give them payment terms. Maybe instead of asking them to pay for 1 month, you may give them time to pay within 2 months or 3 months. Of course, again, it depends on the type of goods you are selling. At this time, most people are not building in terms of construction. So if you're dealing with construction materials, it may not move as fast as food items. We know food items are moving very fast because at a point in time, people were scarce that there will be shortage of food in the market. Those ones they sell, if the volume is increasing, you may give them more than what you used to give them. These are some of the things I think that it may help you and your business partners as well.
Let me concentrate on this. You are too lousy, man.
Can you if you are not speaking, can you please mute your mic?
Yes, no.
Okay,
Hello?
iPhone 7.
iPhone 7.
Small boss liar,
iPhone 7, can you please mute? Okay. Hello. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we can still take one more, and that will be the last question, if we have any.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My own question is pertaining to the banking sector. I'm a business owner in Nigeria, and I've had instances with bank that when you go to meet them for probably invoice discounting, you always have problem, and then their charges are always out of this world. What do you advise the manner of approach that we can have a good negotiation with the banking sector? Or how do you think we can achieve a proper negotiation so that we can have a good relationship with the banking sector. But because here, all they think of is their own pockets. They hardly think of the business owners. Please, what's your advice on that?
All right, thank you very much. Invoice discounting is a very sensitive one. What she's trying to say, assuming that your business sold some goods to, let's say, to port authorities, port is now owing you, but you've agreed with port that they will pay you in 90 days time. Your business needs money. You can go to the bank and tell them, you know what, this port invoice that they are owing me, I will assign the ownership to you. You give me the money now. But if port is owing you 100, you can agree with the bank to say, you know what, give me 98, and when the ports pay you, you take the full 100. That means the bank's income is 2. So the challenges banks have, apart from the desire for profitability, they also looked at the underlying customer who is owing you. If port is owing you, the risk is probably lower because they are government entities, they hardly want to default, compared to if Ebrima and Co is owing you. So one of the things you can improve is that the invoices you are taking to bankers to discount is to be a very reputable name. We normally call with a very good credit, low credit risk. So that's one of the things you should look at. I think that's their number one factor. In terms of the discount rate, they will always want to claim. Of course, they looked at the market rate as well. I think generally the market rates are very high. Even if you go with the normal request, they didn't normally treat them separately, because for them, if that client does not pay you, your business may have some problem. If you are a bigger customer, what some companies do is that they will also guarantee that invoice discount to tell the bank that, assuming or in case this customer is not paying you, I am going to pay you that money. Again, if it's possible, you may want to insure that particular invoice with insurance company, because some insurance companies offer credit risk insurance. If it's possible, that will also reduce how much discount the bank will charge. But that means you will pay some premium to the insurance company. Another area you can look at, you will not necessarily have to discount the whole invoice. If the invoice is 1 million naira or $1 million, you can say, no, I want to discount only 500. I will take half the risk, you take half the risk. These are some of the things, or except government bring a platform where they support small businesses. We don't have some of this platform in the government, but I know in Nigeria, you have the platforms like the Bank of Industry that helps small business owners. You have some central bank intervention programs where small businesses can go to banks and take loans at a single-digit rate. If those small businesses fail, or the business fail generally, the central government or central bank have a program or a fund which will pay them. Of course, the banks would have to follow their normal procedure without thinking that there is a protection plan, but just to support businesses. These are programs maybe you guys can also look. If it's an industry, you may have to come as an industry association and approach the banking sector, approach one bank and say, you know what, we want to give you volume, but we also want you to give us reasonable rate in terms of discounting our invoices. These are some of the means you can do, because as small business owners, your volumes are low. So when your volumes are low in business, it affects the pricing. It's like if I go to, let's say, an airline today, I want to buy a ticket for only one person, they will not even negotiate. But if a bigger company goes there and say they want to buy a ticket for maybe 2,000 staffs that are flying in a year, it's easy for them to negotiate. So that volumes affect you when you come to the banking sector side. These are some of the things I believe may probably help if they walk through. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sawanneh. We were actually scheduled for 45 minutes, but I think we've gone as far as 60 minutes now. We do know you have a very tight schedule, and I don't know if you want to give your final words to the participants.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Danso. I would like to thank you personally and Aliu and your whole team. that organize this kind of initiative. I think it's very important we do this kind of engagement with other professionals. Like today we are discussing about financial management. We may also want to discuss areas like branding and marketing in this time, because we need to support small businesses. Most of the small business owners are either women or young people, which are the backbones of our society. With small business, we are able to eradicate unemployment. We are able to support many people without necessarily sitting at home without a job. So we should continue to do this. And I would advise small business owners, the number one thing that make any business successful is start with your financial management. Without any money, no cash, there is no business. Please keep records, have a plan, and try to stay within your means, because it's important. These things affect the business liquidity. Research have shown that in America, almost about 90% of business go out of the business in the first 10 years, and the major cost has always been cash flow management. We can avoid a lot of business can survive if we follow and practice very good financial management. Wherever you are, stay safe. Things are very difficult, but the truth is, like one gentleman said, tough times do not last. It is the tough people that last. So with this, I want to say thank you very much once again for joining us today. Back to you, Mr. Danso.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sawanneh. I know it was really a very short notice, and we were really excited when you responded that you were really going to participate. And we just want to say thank you for giving us the chance to actually come over here and talk to so many professionals out there, and also entrepreneurs that are actually facing a lot of challenges as we speak. You did make mention of other activities. Obviously, yes, we will be conducting series of webinars. This is actually the first webinar series that we've conducted during this COVID-19, and we're hoping to continue doing this. We'll be exploring other areas as well, like you mentioned, branding and marketing. Also be looking at how they can actually make best use of social media to be able to promote their businesses, because people are trying to, this social distancing and all these things going on with these restrictions. So we feel, technology could also play a very crucial role when it comes to putting their businesses out there. So do follow us. We will be scheduling another webinar sometime very soon, and we will be putting it up on our social media handles so that you can continue following us. On behalf of Startup Incubator Gambia, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Sawanneh and all of you who decided to join us today, and apologies for some of you that have been on the waiting list for a couple of minutes before we could actually grant you to actually come in. So from my end, thank you so much, and hopefully we will get we will connect again sometime very soon. We've also recorded the session, so we will see possibly how best we can actually share the session with you, all of you as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.